everyone. I am Aman Khare, your evening host and a management training at Adore. Before we dive in, let me give you a quick glimpse into Adore. Adore is a global network of students and young professionals like yourselves, all passionate about inspiring you to make a positive impact. We connect you with established professionals and offer a platform to learn from their journey. Now, on behalf of Team Maverick and Adore, we are thrilled to welcome you to this webinar on interpersonal communication. To make this session even more engaging, we kindly request everyone to switch on their cameras. And now the moment will be all having waiting for our esteemed guest. Speaker for tonight is Ms. Tayo Motola. Ms. Tayo Motola is a virtual assistant from Lagos, Nigeria. Ms. Tayo, it's a true honor to having you with us today. We are all eager to gain valuable insight from your expertise.
Everyone, my name is Tayo Motola from Lagos, Nigeria. As my friend introduced, okay, so I'm here to talk about the ABC of interpersonal communication. As we all know, interpersonal communication is an activity that happens between one or two people. So this is the outline of what we'll be discussing today. Communication in a general context, that's like defining communication, talking about communication, how it takes place, the importance of communication, then what is interpersonal communication, why it is important, the elements, the principles. Please, if I'm going so fast, please just caution me. Barriers to interpersonal communication and guidelines to improve. So, as we all know, communication takes place every now and then. So it's an act that requires understanding, comprehension, and communication involves both verbal and non-verbal behavior. When I mean verbal, it means your words, what you say, what the receiver hears from the sender. Then the non-verbal behavior, it means your body language, your gestures. Then it's also maybe, for example, like the way people dress, that's also a kind of communication. So let's go right into interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication, it means an activity or a form of communication that happens between two or more people. It can happen between two people, between three people. It can happen between a group. Like we're having a meeting right now. This is a sort of interpersonal communication where I, the sender, I send information across to the receiver via different channels. Then interpersonal communication can happen either personally, professionally, between friends, between your families, between someone you have a relationship with, and it could also happen professionally in the office, at your workplace. It could happen between maybe you have a doctor's appointment, you have someone you're working for, you have someone you're doing business with. Any kind of communication that happens between two or three people is interpersonal communication. And interpersonal communication is not restricted to face-to-face. It can happen via different channels, pass messages across. You can use text messages to pass information across. So interpersonal communication is not restricted to face-to-face. So far, there is a sender and a receiver. So let's dive into why interpersonal communication is important. Interpersonal communication is important because there's always problems to be solved. There's always decision making, and problem solving can be amongst two friends. It can happen personally, it can happen professionally. Even it can even happen in school, in college or university, it can happen. So, and also decision making. Okay, let's say for example, you have a decision to make at your workplace, at your office. Communication. Let's say your superior, like maybe your supervisor needs to make a decision. He communicates with subordinates, all the rest of the staff. So that is why interpersonal communication is important to solve problems and to make decisions, both personally and professionally. And also, interpersonal communication helps to build personal and professional relationships. Okay, let's say you have an argument with your friends or at your workplace, someone pass an information that you don't understand. Once you talk about it, you solve the problem, it helps you to build relationships like that. Then it also helps in conflict management. Conflict management can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere at all. It can happen in school, it can happen at home with family, it can happen with friends. So once you're able to solve the conflict amongst two or three people, you help one person, you help both of them to win. Because in conflict management, both of them has to win. The emotions have to be resolved. The bad attitude, the moods have to be resolved so that it can bring about healthy personal and professional relationship. Because we all know that even at the workplace, conflict management can lead to organizational problems, both at the lower level or at the higher level. So interpersonal communication is very, very important. It is vital. Then it also improves personal and professional development. Okay, let's say you just finished from college, you're about to get a job. Okay, you need to upskill. You don't really depend on, okay, yes, I just graduated from college, yes, I'm going to get a job. No, you need to maybe like build your CV, you need to go for some training. Do you understand? So that is how interpersonal communication helps for the professional development. You go for training for personal development, like it helps you to build your self-confidence. It helps you to relate very well amongst your friends and amongst your family. Then interpersonal communication helps to reduce stress. Okay, let's say you have unresolved conflicts. Like I said in number three, if you have unresolved conflicts, it leads to stress because you think about it all the time. You are moody. You have mood swings. You're not happy with everyone. It increases your stress. But once you're able to communicate, once you're able to unlock every emotions that you have on your mind, then it helps you to reduce stress. Without communication between the person that you have conflict or problems with, it would increase your stress. It can lead to obesity, it can lead to thinking. Do you understand? So, and also interpersonal communication helps it aids team success. Okay, let's say at your workplace, you have a task to complete or a project to complete. If let's say a team of five or six people, if there is good communication between them, good interpersonal communication, it can help them to achieve success in the projects assigned to them. Then lastly, interpersonal communication helps to build trust because okay, you have good interpersonal communication with your siblings at home, with your family. That helps them to build trust between each other because once you have a problem, they come to you, you go to them, and once they have issues, they come to you. You're able to solve their problem, you're able to make them happy, you're able to take their burdens. So that is why interpersonal communication is very, very important. It is key to have good interpersonal communication. Please, can we go to the next slide? Okay, yes. So the elements of interpersonal communication. Like I said earlier, communication involves a sender, like myself. I'm sending a message across to these beautiful people on this webinar. Then you are the receiver. You are the receiver at the other hand. Then what I'm saying right now, all the messages I'm passing up, all the words, all the hands, genuflect, body language are the messages I'm passing across. Then noise. Well, that's true. Noise is a very vital element of interpersonal communication because if the receiver is not able to give a good feedback to the sender, and the sender is not able to let me say curb the noise, that means communication is not effective. Noise or barrier needs to be solved before you can say, okay, yes, interpersonal communication has taken place, or the communication is effective. I will come back to the noise. I think I have it in other slides. Then channels, like I said, interpersonal communication is not restricted to face-to-face. No, it can happen via email because professionally, you don't see face-to-face with your boss all the time, even your colleagues, like remote work. Like I'm a freelancer, I work with a lot of people abroad. So I don't have the opportunity to be face-to-face with them. So we communicate via email, via phone calls and text messages. Okay, for example, like some of you are in college, I don't know, like your supervisor or your lecturer, it gives you homework, assignment, projects to do. I mean, once you're able to complete your assignments, you can send via email. Let's say during holidays, you can send via email. If you have issues, you can call your lecturer or your boss. Oh, sir, I'm having issues with this, or even text message. So those are the channels of communication. Then feedback. Feedback is very, very important. Interpersonal communication has not taken place if you don't get a feedback. Okay, like a couple of minutes ago, I went offline. You were sending message and you couldn't get through to me. So you didn't get feedback from me. So that is a breach in communication. But when I came online, I responded to you, you got my feedback. That means the communication is effective. Do we understand?
Yeah, we do.
Are you with me?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
with me?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, okay. So, like in this picture, as we're saying, the sender is encoding a message. That means he's passing a message across. You can see the receivers and body language, like folding of arms. This is a kind of message. That is the feedback that the sender is getting from the receiver. Do we understand? So there's a problem with the message. That is why the receiver is giving this kind of feedback to the sender. Do we understand?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes, we are listening.
Okay, okay. Vansh, I hope there will be a question and answer session, please.
Yeah, we should have in the last 10 minutes, we'll have question and answer session.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, this is a very important aspect of interpersonal communication. The principles. Okay, when we say communication is inevitable, inevitable means it's unavoidable. We cannot avoid it. You cannot just not communicate. We have to communicate. We have to communicate. Even when we wake up in the morning, walking out of our room, it's communication. Like our family and friends, they go, oh, okay, yeah, Tayo is up. She's awake. It's a kind of communication. Do you understand? So we cannot just stop communicating. We're constantly communicating. It is not possible to just stop. Amongst friends, in the office, in our worship place, even in the social lives, we always have to communicate. And effective communication resides in how the receiver perceives our communication, like I said earlier. And also, okay, sorry, I have something on my, okay, okay, and also, um, how people interpret our message is also very, very important. Like how we communicate to people, it's very important. Um, this refers to communication is irreversible. Whatever you have said, however you have said it, you cannot take it back. No way. So that is why it's important that we practice empathy or emotional intelligence when we're communicating to anybody at all. Even as little as little children, we have to be careful because just like the French adage says that taste your words. If it is sweet, then you swallow it. Because if you utter negative words, even to yourself all the time, somehow it will begin to manifest. You cannot take it back. Someone makes you angry, you say all sorts of things, you cannot take it back. That is why we need to practice emotional intelligence or empathy amongst our friends, amongst everybody that we communicate with. So that is why we say communication is irreversible. We have to be careful what we say and how we say it. Even for feedback, we have to be careful the kind of feedback we give to the sender. Also, communication is complex. Yes, very true. Very, very true, because different words mean different things to many people. Okay, like let's say for example, sign. This sign, I think in the United States or like in my country, it means peace. Can you see my hand? Can you see my
Yes.
fingers? Okay, yes.
Yes, yes.
Like this words, it means peace. But in any other country, I think in United Kingdom, it means a different word entirely. I think it means a curse word. But in my own country and in some other countries, it means peace. Like I've been to like I studied in Malaysia. There are some kind of communication that we have that are the same, although different in spelling, different in symbols, different in meaning. But when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay. We have this in my country, but it has a different meaning. Do we understand? So that is why communication is complex. So we move on to communication is contextual. When we say contextual, it means like in the environment where communication takes place, like psychological context. Psychological context means the mood or the emotions that you portray when you communicate. Okay, let's like now, like a couple of minutes ago, I was really excited, like, oh yeah, okay, wow, this is my first time talking on Adore platform. I was really excited. My little daughter was telling me, mommy, okay, yeah, good job, good job, good luck. I wish you all the best. Like, so I brought that energy into this webinar. Let's say I was in a bad mood or I was really down. I don't think I'll be able to have a positive energy like this. So let me say the psychological context has to do with your emotions, your energy, the vibe that you bring with the people that you're communicating with. Then situational context, it means like the environment in which communication is taking place. Okay. Let's say for example, you want to communicate with your brother or your sister, like in let's say in a cinema, you guys will be so friendly, you can high five, give yourself, like be very playful, jovial. It will be a different communication at the workplace. I mean, you can't be too friendly at your office. You guys have to be, let me say, semi-casual. You can't be too casual. You can't say all those friendly words that you say between your friends, your social gathering. So that is what we mean by communication has a situational context. Then relational context means the relationship that you have with the person you're communicating with. Okay, like I said earlier, like the way you're communicating with your boss, you have to be all respectful, you have to like bow, you have to be polite, let me put it that way. But when you're talking to your cousin or your friends or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, I mean, you can be really, really free. You can't be too polite. Let me put it that way. You can't be too polite. You have to be like casual. Yes. So you have to be casual. Then cultural context. The cultural context is very wild, like very, very wild in the sense that I'm communicating all over, all the way from Nigeria, all the way to India, right?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. So this communication is taking place all the way from Lagos, Nigeria to India. There's cultural context. Do you understand? Let's say, for example, like for me personally, in my country, normally, we have what we have this thing we use, Nigerian time. Nigerian time in the sense that we always do things late. Like, okay, let's say this meeting was for 2:30. The Nigerian time will say, okay, we'll start by 2:45. So 2:45, you'll be like, yes, this is Nigerian time. You have to know, why this Nigerian time, which is not okay with you guys because I think it's about 7 p.m. your time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
7,
It's
right?
around 7:30.
At first, yeah, around 7:30. So I cannot just say yes because it is my culture. I have to impose it on you. No, I have to be right on time. Do you understand? So that is what we mean by cultural context, the differences in the cultural context and making it align together. So that is what we mean by communication is contextual. There's a variety of things that makes the principles of interpersonal communication. Because of our differences, because we want the communication to be very, very effective, we have to put all of this in place. We have to understand that there are different people, there are different backgrounds, there are different mindsets, there are different emotions. Do we understand? Okay, so barriers to interpersonal communication. This is also very wild. It's something that if you want to be able to communicate effectively or you want to be a good communicator, you have to be able to overcome the barriers in interpersonal communication. Okay, language barrier. Um, let's say uh, let's say when I saw a door application on LinkedIn, it was written in Hindu, right? Hindu is the Indian language, right? If it was written in Hindu, I don't think I would have been able to apply for the position, right? And this webinar today would not take place. Probably it would take place with someone else who understands Hindu. Do you understand? So thank you, Adore, for giving me this opportunity, for not making the language barrier exist with the platform. Good job. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, also, cultural barrier. Cultural barrier, okay. Like I said earlier, like in my, like, I'm trying to use my country because, okay, let me use Malaysia. Okay, like in Malaysia, there are different cultures in Malaysia. When I was there, I was friends with mostly Chinese and some Indians too. And I was so, I mean, they were so friendly. They were so they were so welcoming in the sense that they didn't say because I don't understand Mandarin or Cantonese, and they said no. We were teammates in class. We did a lot of teamwork together. So and this actually brought a lot of success to all of us. Let's say, like in my project, I had my Indian friend, Vivian, she helped me, and she helped me. I also helped a lot of Chinese friends too. Do you understand? Because the mode of communication was, how do I put it? What word do I use? It was a common language. Let me put it that way, which was English. It was a common language. Do you understand? So, um, that is why when we communicate, you don't let culture be a barrier. No, you don't let culture be a barrier because we live in a global space. If culture is a barrier, you just remain like an island, and no one can remain like an island. You have to gain knowledge. You're gaining knowledge from me. I have gained knowledge from you, right? Okay, so emotional barrier. Emotional barrier, it means like your mood, like I said earlier, like your mood, your attitude. Um, let's say like this, let's for this picture in the slides, there's one person on one end on the left, there's about five people on the right. Okay, let's put this in a professional context. Let's put this in a professional context like, okay, you have a boss who is always moody, always in a bad mood, and you submit your reports and he's always nagging. Oh, Vash, you never submit your report. Why? Why always late? Always in a bad mood. Even on text message, always replying negative. It will be a barrier because you will not be able to do your job very well at your workplace, right? Yes, so
Yeah.
we have to be, yeah, so we have to be able to overcome every barrier to have a healthy personal and professional relationship. Then the personal barrier. Okay, the personal barrier, I will kind of link it to emotional in a certain way. Okay, because normally we have, okay, let's say like we have different personalities, right? Yes, we have different personalities. We have introverts, we have extroverts. People who like to talk, people who don't like to talk. Like me, I like to talk a lot. I advocate. I'm an advocate for youth. I'm an advocate for teenagers. I like to talk a lot. And I give a lot of these trainings via online and even offline. So let's say I meet someone who doesn't like to talk. There's a barrier because once I'm talking, they say, "Oh, she talks too much. Why she talks too much?" You understand? So, so that's going to be that's a personal barrier. Like, and I have to understand that. Okay, I think he doesn't like to talk too much, so I just go quietly, like ask questions. Are you okay? Do you think I'm talking too much? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I am talking to you guys now. I'm saying, okay, do you understand? Are you with me? I can't just keep talking. I have to know that you are with me, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
So yes, okay. So then psychological barrier. Psychological barrier is it has to do with your mental state, with your mental mind. You understand? Like I said earlier, if you have unresolved conflicts, or you have a boss who's always giving negative attitude, it would affect your mindset. It will give you stress. Once you have stress on your mind, you can pass stress to your friends and family. It would affect you. You will not be happy. You would always be moody. You always be angry. So that is why it's important for us to overcome all these barriers to be able to be an effective communicator, even with your friends, at home, with your family, and with your boss and your subordinates and your teammates at your workplace, even with your lecturers or your classmates in college. Okay? Okay, can we go on to the next slide? There's a live slide. I don't know what happened. Guidelines to improve personal communication. The one I sent to you, Vansh.
Yes, ma'am. Pratik, just use the PDF and present it instead of the slides.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I mean, that was
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
no,
sent.
it's not a problem. Yeah, I can understand.
Okay, can I resend it afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's your wish.
Okay, okay. I'm so sorry. Okay,
No,
so
no.
here I have guidelines to improve interpersonal communication.
Yeah.
Then on my list here, I have active listening. Active listening. Um, Active listening, like from the research I made about this topic, active listening is the most important in communication, both in interpersonal communication or intrapersonal communication or communication itself. You have to be active in listening. Like you even if you're communicating with two people or even in a group, you you talk, then you listen. You listen. Once you listen, from listening, you get your feedback, either positive or negative feedback. You have to be able to listen. And to listen is not only to the words, you have to listen to body language. You have to listen to the eye gestures. You have to listen um to maybe two people talking about it. You have to know if it is positive or negative. It is important to practice active listening. And to practice active listening, it involves patience. You have to be patient to understand what the other person is saying. You don't only just talk, 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 talk. You listen. Even sometimes silence, like let's say, like 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 I was asking for an excuse for the lost PDF. Like the silence is also an act of listening. Do you understand? Silence is also an act of listening. Silence is also communication. Let's say, for example, you have misunderstanding with your friends. You guys don't text. The silence, it means, oh, okay, Vanch is still angry. Oh, Tayo is angry. That's why there's silence. So every form of cues matters in communication. Okay, then on my second list, I have validation. Feedback and validation. We have to be able to provide supportive and constructive feedback and validation. Okay, let's say we have a Q&A session, your question and answer session, for example. I know which we will have that. And you maybe someone tries to make a point, and I'm like, oh no, 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 that is not acceptable. No, I don't have to. Every kind of feedback has to be validated. Only that you can make okay, yeah, you got it right. Yeah. You have to make the feedback constructive. You have to be supportive of what the person is saying because we have different minds. I have a different mind, you have a different mind, I have a different opinion, I have a different opinion, you have a different perspective, I have a different perspective. No perspective or opinion is superior. We have to have a common ground. Okay? We have to have a common ground. So that is what the validation means. We have to validate our feedback amongst ourselves. Even in the society, a lot of us, we find validation from social media, we find validation from followers, we find validation from online presence. Do you understand? But like I said earlier in one of the slides, that interpersonal communication builds trust. And someone who is going to give you validation has to trust you. Someone you give validation to, your family, okay, or your friends, you guys have validation amongst each other. It means you trust one another. There cannot be interpersonal communication without trusting each other. Like, okay, let's say you have a secret you want to tell your friend. You have to trust your friend, right? For you to tell them their secret. So that's it. So the other one, empathy. Yes, I think I've mentioned empathy before, but in the context, empathy means understanding people's feelings and perspective. You have to understand how the other person is feeling. Okay, let's say, for example, I like to use a lot of examples so that we can actually understand. Okay, let's say, for example, um, you have you have a report to submit on time, or a report, let's say, your project, your final school project to submit, and there is a kind of delay, you have some problems, maybe some small family issue, and you were not able to submit your project or your report. Like, you have to explain to your lecturer or to your boss. Your boss has to be able to understand that the problem is beyond your capability. You couldn't hold it. If there's no empathy, I think it will be cruel. Communication without empathy is cruel. We have to be understanding of each other's perspective and feelings. That is, and this empathy also aligns with emotional intelligence. You have to understand that, okay, this person is an introvert. I think I need to just say a few words and leave. I don't have to tell the story of my life, blah 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 blah, and the person is not even ready to listen. No. Okay. So to the next one, clear and concise language. Mm. Okay, so in communication, in interpersonal communication, we have to use simple language. Simple language, however or wherever we are communicating, our language has to be simple. Okay, let's say I studied business management. And Vash, what did you study? What did you study in school? Or what are you studying?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking a question. Yes, I want to know.
Okay, so I am currently studying computer science degree.
Okay, computer
Third year.
science. Okay,
Yeah, third
okay,
year.
okay, yeah. Okay. Let's say communication between you and I. Let's say we have a chit chat and you start to talk about computer science terminologies. I would be so lost because I'll be like, oh my God, I don't even understand the computer science. What is it talking
Yeah, I get
about?
it. I
Ooh,
get
do
it.
you
I get it.
understand? Yes.
I do.
So you have to like come down to the person's level. Let
Right.
it be as simple as ABC. Like this topic, ABC of interpersonal communication. It has to be simple. Do you understand? Like, normally, if I were to give this webinar, if I was to give this webinar to a Nigerian platform,
Mm.
there are some languages I would have mixed together. Like, if I don't say those languages, they would not understand. Do you
Right,
understand?
right.
But here now, I have to be careful. I have to be careful. Like, okay, I can't say this word. I can't say this word. I can't say this. They will not understand. Do you understand? So
Right.
I have to use the simplest words and languages that I can use. Okay. So self-awareness. We have to be aware of non-verbal cues, body language, and facial expressions. Okay, yes, I think I mentioned this before. Like, um, like me now, this is my non-verbal cues. I've been using my hands like that, which I do a lot. I do that a lot, and I think everybody, like during the webinar, you have to like. I can't just give this webinar and be like, okay, be aware of non-verbal cues. How would you guys feel if my hands were like this? I mean, this shows that I'm not interested. It shows that I'm probably tired. It shows that let me just do this and get out. Do you understand? But with my non-verbal cues, with my hand gestures, it shows that okay, I'm excited. I appreciate the opportunity, and that I want you guys to understand what I'm saying. Do you understand? Are we together?
Yeah, we are, we
Okay.
are.
And yes, and
Yes, we are.
also facial expression. Facial expression is very important, especially professionally. Let's say at your workplace, the facial expression is it's very, very important in the sense that um a lot of communication mishap has happened when you let me say misread or misinterpret body language and facial expression. Do you understand? Let's say you have a presentation to make. You have a presentation to make, and you are to present with the slides, and someone is helping you to turn the slides. And okay, like when we started this, I was like, okay, you said you can present the slides for me, and I was like, oh, okay, 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 that's good. Assuming it was a face-to-face communication, I would probably just wink at you, or I would just tap, like, okay, please, next slide, next slide, next slide. You understand? The person I'm signaling to has to be aware. You can't be carried away. You have to be aware personally. You have to be in the moment to understand what the other person is communicating. You can't be lost. Do we understand? So the last one, mind your tone because it can convey different emotions and meanings. This is a big one too, in the sense that like I have a saying, I do tell people it is my own let me say it is my own saying. I didn't get it from anybody. I used to say that messages have tone. Messages have tone. Like you pick your phone, you send a message to me. Hey, what's up? Are you okay? That's a tone. Like, okay, that's for my friend to me.
Right.
Are you okay? And if it was a stranger saying, are you okay? I would be like, okay, what does it mean? I'm not even friends with you. What does it mean by am I okay? Is it telling me I'm crazy or what? Do you understand?
Yeah, I got
So
it.
there's a different tone. Yes, we can relate this with the relational context, like I said earlier. We have to be aware of the emotions and the meanings that we send out to the receiver, to either at home, at the office, to your social gatherings, maybe to your friends too. We have to mind our tone. Even if you are angry, even if you're hungry, you can always leave the scene, come back, and talk with empathy. You have to calm down because whatever you say, you can't take it back. You cannot take it back. And once you hurt people with your words, I mean, you may apologize, but it may really hurt them deep down inside. It will really hurt them deep down inside. So you have to mind your tone. You have to be careful of what you mean when saying something to other people, especially in the intercultural context. Maybe from one country to another or from one ethnic to another. We have to be careful how we communicate. I think during my communication, since I joined Adult, I think the communication has been so seamless. It has been easy. I mean, they even gave me the time and the chance to pick the dates for this webinar. They gave me the chance to communicate time and when it would be convenient. I mean, I've worked with other non-profit organizations and it wasn't like this. So I would say that Ado is amazing. I appreciate you guys. The
Thank you so
communication
much.
is 100%. And for this opportunity you guys gave me, I appreciate it. I I I don't take it for granted. Let me put it that way. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. So I think this is all I have for the webinar. If there's a question and answer session.
Okay, so that was great. I mean, thank you so much for appreciating the organization, Tayo.
Yeah, you're
So
welcome. You're
as
welcome.
promised, we have a 10-minute question answer sessions. Anyone
Okay,
who
yeah.
has questions can ask Tayo and
Anybody?
get the answer.
They can ask or write in the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay, the chat. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. You can ask any. Yeah, I'm checking.
Stop sharing the screen.
Sure, Pratik.
Sorry. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, so tell me, what are the some common barriers to interpersonal communication?
The what?
Uh, how can we overcome our barriers which we face in our interpersonal
Okay, the
communication?
barriers. Okay. Okay, yes. From the last
You told
slide,
about barriers, so can you tell about how can we overcome them?
the what? Sorry, I didn't get that.
How can we overcome that?
Barriers. He's asking how can we
The
overcome the
barriers,
barriers? Yeah.
barriers in communication,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay, yes. Like I said in the last slide, you can overcome through active listening. Through
Okay.
active listening, like when someone communicates with you, you can be calm. Try to focus on the person. Focus on the words that they say. Focus on their body language. Focus on their facial expression, right? That is how you can overcome. Like if you're talking and someone turns their eyes and is like, that means he or she is not ready to listen. Okay. So you know that, okay, I think I can just pause. Let me just pause so that maybe we come back to it. Okay. Okay. Then we can also overcome barrier through feedback and validation. You have to get whatever the other person, once you communicate, once you send your message out, you have to get a feedback because communication is not complete without feedback. You have to get a feedback for communication to be complete. For you to overcome the barrier, you have to get a feedback. Okay?
Yes.
Then number three, you can also overcome the barrier through by empathy. You have to you have to understand how the other person feels. If you are angry, okay, angry, that's an emotional barrier, or someone who has a bad attitude, that's also like personal and emotional barrier. You have to understand how the person is feeling at the moment. Because if you have an important message to pass to someone who is in a bad mood, you have to be patient. You have to know that oh, okay, he's in a bad mood. Maybe I come back, I pass the message across to him. If you pass the message there, you not get any good feedback because the person will just say, oh, I'm not in a good mood. Oh, please come back. Oh, please come back. Do you understand? You have to understand his or her feelings. Okay. Then you can also overcome the barrier through self-awareness. Through self-awareness, okay? Through the facial expression, through their body language. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Okay. So we have one question in the chat box also.
Oh, okay, yes. I think I just saw that. Oh, sorry, hold on. Give me a minute. How does I don't know, I'm not saying this. How does self-awareness of non-verbal cues like body, facial expressions influence communication. Oh, okay. Okay, yes. Like I just said it now, like the non-verbal cues are the facial expression and the body language. Okay. Normally, if someone stands like this, normally this means um in body language it means the person is being defensive. Okay. So you yourself, you have to be aware that okay, um if you're arguing with someone, like arguments can also happen in communication, right? You guys are not in good terms, conflict management. Okay, and the person is like this, it means the person is defensive. You have to be aware that okay, whatever I say here is not going to enter this person's ears. He would not listen. If you're not aware, you keep talking, the conflicts would be there. You would not achieve anything. Let's say you have your teammates, you guys have to work on a project, and someone is always coming late, not submitting reports, always giving excuses. You have to be aware that okay, oh, I think this guy has an issue. Okay, my teammates, how do we address this person's issue? Okay, so that we can achieve team success. If you are not aware, you are carried away with your own self-thoughts, self-imagination, or your self-actualization. You would only achieve success individually. You will not achieve team success. Does that answer the question? Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Any other question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I
Why is
have a question.
interpersonal communication? Okay. Okay, I'm listening.
What
Okay.
strategies can be used to ensure clear and concise language in interpersonal communication?
Okay. Okay. What strategy can be used to express clear and concise? Okay. Like I said earlier, okay, this also comes with self-awareness. You have to know that, okay, if you're communicating with your friends, right? In a relational context, is totally different. You can use, hey, what's up, right? You can use, hey, what's up? How you doing? Have you eaten? All those casual languages. You can use your casual languages. But if you are talking to, let's say, a stranger, someone you just met, right? It's going to be a different language. Okay? You can't say, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? It will have to be polite. Okay? You have to use the simplest language, especially to a stranger. Okay, like now, I think I got talking to Vansh about 2 days ago, right? 2 or 3 days ago. The way I would communicate with Mayan is totally different, right? And the way you communicate to me as a Nigerian, they break all the languages to the simplest language. Like I used earlier, that a computer science student communicating with a business management student, you cannot use computer science language. I would not understand. I cannot use Nigerian language for you. You would not understand. I have to use the simplest and concise language that you will understand. Okay, now let's say for example, let's say I said in my language, we use this a lot, like ogao. If I use that word, you will not understand, right? There is no way you will understand. Even if it means something very positive in this context, you would not understand it. So I have to use the simplest language that you can understand. Because if I use the word ogao, you'll be wondering in your mind, what does she mean? I mean, is it friendly? I mean, I'm sure you would even go to Google, like, okay, what does Uga mean? Do you get? So that is why we have to use the simplest language available for easy communication from the sender to the receiver. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so I also have a question.
So any other question?
Yeah, I do. Well, you were saying that
Okay.
it's difficult to talk to introverts, right? So how do you think that we
It
should
is what?
communicate? It is difficult to communicate with introverts, particularly, right?
Yes.
So how do you think that we should approach them? Because I am asking this because I am myself an introvert and I am trying to become an extrovert like
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah. So can you please help me in this?
Okay.
Same for me also.
Okay, let's say like an extrovert talking to an introvert,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or how an introvert can communicate,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like first of all, once you are aware that you are an introvert, right? You can start with friends and family. Like when you are at home, you talk with your friends, right? You talk with your sisters, your brothers, right? But when you're outside, you don't talk much. Okay. I think first of all, what you can do is you can try to create a common ground. Okay. Okay, like for example, like me and you are the intermediary from Ado to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you have questions concerning things you want to know. You can always communicate with me. You know that, right? Even outside of Ado. Now, everyone on this platform, we're friends. Okay? Everyone here now, we're friends. You can always, once you are aware that, okay, I don't like to talk too much, but I want to talk. You can try to create a common ground. Like, okay, maybe you do a research on a topic that you want to know. You can start a conversation with simple words. Okay? You can maybe start with a question, or you can start with something that you don't understand. Then the person will pick from there and start communicate. Okay? And when you feel you're getting tired, you can maybe just walk away for a while, come back to it. Because once the person keeps talking and you lose interest, you will not learn. Do you believe that?
I do.
So you can start with questions. You can do research on what you want to know, ask questions, maybe find things that you don't understand. Maybe something that is confusing you, like, oh, I don't know how this thing works. I don't know how it is. Okay, let's say, for example, you want to ask me about Nigerian food.
Yeah.
You can do research. Oh, Tayo, I read on Google, you guys like jollof rice. Tell me about jollof rice. We can start conversations around that, right?
Right.
You can say, oh, I hear Nigerians, we are always happy no matter the problem we face. How come that is? You guys have so many problems. Why always happy?
Exactly.
Okay? Yes. You can find funny things to talk about, and from there, you get to start talking. Okay? And you have to build your self confidence too. Self confidence is important for introverts. You have to be confident that, okay, I can make mistakes, right? You are allowed to make mistakes. And the person you are communicating with has to empathize that, oh, okay, yeah, Vansh, yeah, he can make mistakes. I will just correct you with empathy. I don't have to say, oh, no, Vansh, no, not good, not okay. No, I can't do that. I have to be empathic with you. I have to understand that, okay, we're from different backgrounds. Okay, he doesn't understand. I can explain to him. Okay, so you have to build your self confidence too. Okay, all right.
Well, you answered it pretty much well. I mean, it
So,
was very
any
helpful
other
for me.
question? Yeah. So, is that all? Any other question?
Yes, I have a question. In what ways can
Okay.
active listening improve interpersonal communication?
Oh, okay. Okay. Like now, during this webinar, you guys have been asking me questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, like when I read the questions and I listened to you, because your questions were in simple words. Simple and clear, concise words helps to understand active listening.
Okay.
And you guys listen to this webinar, right? Because I use simple and clear message, right? So if you communicate, if the other person communicates in simple and concise language, it can help active listening, interpersonal communication. If the person is communicating and you don't understand, you will not listen. Is that right? You will be turned off. You will just, your mind your mind will shift if the person is talking jargons and just repeating and repeating and repeating. But if you are patient, if you listen with empathy, you understand the person's emotions, it can help active listening. You have to be interested in what the person is saying. If you are not interested, you will not listen well. You have to be interested. You have to be calm to improve your active listening. And active listening improves feedback. Okay? Do you understand? Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Any other question?
Okay. So if there is no question, so that we can end up the lines up.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I think
Thank.
it's more than we've used our time.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Mr.
Thank you,
Ayo.
everyone. I appreciate this. Thank you very much. Thank
Hello.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo.
All right.
As we
Bye.
are
Thank
near
you
the
very much.
closing ceremony, before we depart, we would like to
Okay.
thank Mr. Ayo, Dinesh Agrawal sir, Simran Sharma ma'am, Pradipta Mukherjee sir, and responsible member for making this webinar a success. Adore is a
Thank
global
you.
network of students and young professionals like yourselves, all passionate about inspiring you to make a positive impact. We connect with established professionals and offer a platform to learn from their journey. So if anyone interested, can visit the website, and we have shared a link in the chat box, and we request you to give your valuable feedback. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. The webinar is now completed and you may now leave the meeting. And once again,
Thank you
thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Ayo.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Tayo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And thank you others also for joining. Ankita and Sudhaji and Rahima Khatun, thank you so much for joining. You may go to your respective breakout rooms.